So we are reading the fifth agreement by Don Miguel. We are on the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, page number 35 of the PDF.
This brings us to the first and most important of the four agreements. Be impeccable with your word. The word is your power of creation, and that power can be used in more than one direction. One direction is impeccability, where the word creates a beautiful story, your personal heaven on earth. The other direction is misuse of the word, where the word destroys everything around you and creates your personal hell.
See, now the word is very, very important. Okay. Now, whenever you use a word, the word has power. And this has been, we've been talking about it, all the experiments of Dr. Emoto, right? How the crystals get formed when they are exposed to certain words. Now, when you look at the words from the level of consciousness at which they are operating, you can actually figure out what is the level of consciousness with which that word is being used. What is the intent behind the word? That becomes extremely important. When we look at it from Monroe Institute perspective, in the Gateway Voice, the first talk that Robert Monroe gives, ultimately he says that you are going to transcend your belief systems, right? Now, where does the belief system come from? This is what we read in the last chapter, that we create our belief system. We are constantly being educated. We are constantly being trained, right, to operate out of a belief system. Where does that come from? That comes from your words, right? Now, Robert Monroe takes it one step further, where he says that even you have to be aware of your thoughts, right? Even if you're not saying the word, but you're thinking it, that will also impact you. If water kept in a beaker or in a glass and you write a word on it affects the water, then just imagine we are also 70-80% water, right? If we are constantly having thoughts, whatever thoughts we are having is definitely affecting our body system. So words can create heaven and they can create hell for you. And this is something that I'm noticing with all people, and I'm constantly talking about the grid. Where are we operating from, right? Where are we saying the word from? In fact, you can go to this extent, and in fact, I'm working with some people. You want to write a letter to a near and dear one with whom there has been a fallout. How are you writing that letter? Each line can be assessed to assess whether it will create value or it will create a detrimental effect. We can actually assess to that extent, right? So the words that you're using can actually create heaven or they can create hell in your life. So we have to be very careful with the words that we are using, what the words that we are saying and the words that we are thinking, okay, becomes extremely important.
The word as a symbol has the magic and power of creation because it can reproduce an image, an idea, a feeling, or an entire story in your imagination.
Now, again, what does this mean, right? A symbol can represent a particular incident in your life. Like in the Monroe programs, we are constantly talking about encodings. We are talking about function commands. What are they? Today, when I say some words, it will cause an effect, right? Now, we can, remember certain memories also by taking a silver of that particular memory, and the whole thing will start playing in our mind. So if we are constantly looking at stuff which has caused depletion in our system, we can trigger one word with it and then it will cause a depletion. For example, so I keep using this example. Suppose you visited Taj Mahal and you smelt a smell over there, right? Now that smell represents your visit to Taj Mahal, the sights that you saw, the other things that you saw, what did you eat over there, who did you talk to over there, who went with you over there. Now, if you smell that same smell somewhere else, which is again symbolism, that entire memory will come back into your conscious awareness. So triggers. The words can act like triggers to trigger certain memories in your system. And the memories will result in a cascade of chemicals getting created in your system, which can again cause hell or heaven for you. So again, symbolism of words is very, very powerful.
Just hearing the word horse can reproduce an entire image in your mind. That's the power of a symbol. But it can even be more powerful than that. Just by saying two words, the Godfather, a whole movie can appear in your mind. This is your magic, your power of creation, and it begins with the word.
So again, association of something with something can trigger something else, right? So we have to be very careful of what are the associations that we are making with stuff in our mind. And ultimately, we need to clear ourselves. We need to get clarity into ourselves so that we can become the authentic us, right? That's why clarity of thought, clarity of the words that we are using becomes very, very important.
Perhaps you can understand why the Bible says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." According to many religions, in the beginning, nothing existed, and the very first thing that God created was the messenger, the angel who delivers a message. You may understand the need for something that could transfer information from one place to another place. Of course, from nowhere to nowhere seems a little complicated, but it's very simple at the same time. In the very beginning, God created the Word, and the Word is a messenger. Then, if God created the Word to deliver a message, and if the Word is a messenger, then that is what you are, a messenger, an angel.
So absolutely, we are all part of the Godhead, whether we like it or not, and that's where we want to go. And of course, very clearly, in all cultures, I think it all originated in Hinduism also, it originated from a sound, right? A sound is a word. So all creation came from the word.
The Word exists because of a force that we call life, intent, or God.
So
The
again,
Word,
the intent is very important, right? Now I may say rock, I intend something, someone else may intend something else, right? So what's the intent behind the word becomes extremely important.
the Word is the force, it is the intent, and that's why our intent manifests through the Word, no matter what language we speak. The Word is so important in the creation of everything because the messenger starts to deliver messages, and the entire creation appears out of nowhere.
So again, the intent is what is the force behind the word. And that intent using the word creates our reality, right? So what are we thinking? What are we saying will automatically create our reality from nowhere. We may blame someone else that, okay, this is the guy, this happened, that happened. But ultimately, we are creating our own reality.
Remember God and Adam talking and walking together? God creates reality and we recreate reality with the Word. The virtual reality that we create is a reflection of reality. It's our interpretation of reality by use of the Word. Nothing can exist without the Word because the Word is what we use to create everything that we know.
So without the word, we would not, the word actually creates meaning for everything that we are experiencing. If the word wasn't there, then we wouldn't understand what is what. There would be no communication possible. There would be no understanding possible between people, right? So when we label a tree, it becomes a tree, right? And then when we explain the tree, that this is a tree to someone else, that person also recognizes that as a tree. Now, if there was no label to a tree, then we could not understand what was what. So that's why the word actually creates our reality as we know it.
If you notice, I'm changing all the symbols on purpose, so you can see that the different expressions mean the exact same thing. The symbols can change, but the meaning is the same in all the different traditions around the world. If you listen to the intent behind the symbols, you will understand what I'm trying to say.
So again, very clearly, he is clearly saying that the intent behind the word is the real meaning of the word. So we may be saying one thing, but what is our intent behind that? That is what is the truth.
If you listen to the intent behind the symbols, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Impeccability of the word is so important because the word is you, the messenger. The word is all about the message you deliver, not just to everyone and everything around you, but the message you deliver to yourself.
So this is important, right? What is the message you are delivering to yourself? If you're not impeccable with your word, if you're not true to your word, if you do not do what you're saying, if you do not do what you're thinking, then there is a problem, right? Because you're not being true, you're not being authentic to yourself if you're not impeccable with your word.
You're telling yourself a story, but is it the truth? If you're using the word to create a story with self judgment and self rejection, then you're using the word against yourself and you're not being impeccable.
Wonderful, right? So this is something that we encounter even in biofield tuning. There was this guy who was constant, it came out in the tuning that he's constantly criticizing himself. Now, if you're criticizing yourself, which side of the grid you would be? I'm sure that people who understood the grid will say you would be on the left side. Now, when you're on the left side of the grid, you're getting depleted. So you can never create anything when you're on the left side of the grid, right? So when you are on the left side of the grid and you are putting yourself on the left side of the grid, that means you are working against yourself, right? So self-judgment, self-rejection, self-criticism, all these things will put you on the left side of the grid. And that makes you work against yourself. Why? Because again, you're not being impeccable with your word.
When you're impeccable, you're not going to tell yourself, I'm old, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm not good enough,
Shivangla, volume.
not strong enough, I'm never going to make it in life. You're not going to use your knowledge against yourself, which means your voice of knowledge is not going to use the word to judge you, find you guilty, and punish you. Your mind is so powerful that it perceives the story that you create. If you create self judgment, you create inner conflict that's nothing but a nightmare.
You get that, right? So if you're judging yourself all the time, if you're not accepting yourself as you are going to land up creating hell for yourself.
Your happiness is up to you, and it depends on how you use the word. If you get angry and use the word to send emotional poison to someone else, it appears that you're using the word against that person, but you're really using the word against yourself. That action is going to create a like reaction, and that person is going to go against you. If you insult someone, that person may even harm you in response. If you use the word to create a conflict in which your body may be injured, of course it's against you.
So again, your happiness is in your hands, right? How are you thinking? What is the intent with which you're thinking? When you're saying something, where are you operating from, right? becomes very important. A person who's operating from the right side of the grid will not think of hurting someone. They will always look for a win-win solution, a win-win scenario, right? May the best manifest. This is something that when we are using the reball, we are using the same concept, right? Win-win solution to manifest. It's never a win-lose. Whenever we are operating from the left side of the grid, that is when you look at win-lose. In the right side, there's always win-win, right? Now, if you're doing something against someone, there is going to be an equal and opposite reaction. So instead of creating value and harmony within yourself, when you hurt someone else, you're creating a hurt for yourself because it is bound to come back to you. Okay, you've attached emotion to those words that you have used. And whenever you attach emotion, that is when the reaction or karmic baggage starts to get created.
Be impeccable with your word really means never use the power of the word against yourself. When you're impeccable with your word, you never betray yourself. You never use the word to gossip about yourself or to spread emotional poison by gossiping about other people. Gossiping is the main form of communication in human society, and we learn how to gossip by agreement. When we are children, we hear the adults around us gossiping about themselves and giving their opinions about other people, including people they don't even know. But now you are aware that our opinions are not the truth. They're just a point of view.
So again, gossip, right? When we gossip about someone, most of the time it will be done in a detrimental way, right? Now, whenever you are saying something depleting or something negative, something which is maybe not true also, because most of the time when people are gossiping, it may not be based on the truth, right? Now that creates a problem because as soon as you're gossiping, you are putting yourself again on the left side of the grid, right? If you want to say something uplifting, say something good about another person. Because when you say something good about another person, you are bringing that good into yourself. When you say something detrimental about another person, again, you are bringing that poison into your life, right? What do you want to bring in your life? You need to be clear about that. When we start operating with that clarity, that is only the time when we can bring the happiness into our lives. If I am looking for the happiness of all the people around me, right, then I will find happy people around me and their happiness is bound to rub off on me. If I'm going to be critical about everyone around me, then that criticism is going to come back to me and then I will be criticized also. So we need to really see what we are doing, because again, what you throw out, that is what you're resonating with. And whatever you're resonating with is going to come back into your life. So again, what is the intent behind the words that you're using? What are the intent behind the thoughts that you're having starts to become very important. Now, another thing over here, they've spoken about children. This is extremely important because children copy their parents. The first guru of the children are the parents. Now they will copy what the parents are doing, right? Now, if the parents are gossiping, the child learns that it's okay to gossip. It's okay to say bad things or detrimental things about people. And then that's what they do in there when they grow up, right? So this becomes very important. If we want our children to be happy, then we need to see what is the action that we are taking in our day-to-day life in front of the children, right? And then again, we need to be impeccable with our word with the children. Because if we are doing something and we are saying something else, the child will catch it, right? and then they will come back to us. And nowadays, of course, children are even more open mouthed. They'll tell you that you are doing it. Why are you telling me not to do it? So we have to be very impeccable with our word, with ourselves, and whenever we are saying something. So gossiping is not something that we should indulge in. It is also part of the second tenant over here, that is third tenant, make no assumptions. So whenever we are gossiping, we are making a lot of assumptions. And over here clearly he says that but now you're aware that our opinion is not the truth. It is only a point of view, right? So someone else may have a different point of view. So we need to be careful when we are giving opinions.
Remember, you are the creator of your own life story. If you use the word impeccably, just imagine the story that you are going to create for yourself. You're going to use the word in the direction of truth and love for yourself. You're going to use the word to express the truth in every thought, in every action, in every word you use to describe yourself, to describe your own life story. And what will be the result? An extraordinarily beautiful life. In other words, you are going to be happy.
So if you say one lie, right, to cover that lie up, you're going to have to say 100 more lies. But if you're impeccable with the word, if you're going to be saying the truth, right, what is true? I mean, of course, again, it's an opinion, technically speaking, but the more towards the truth that you can bend, the better off your life will be, because you're operating from authenticity. You're operating from your core self, right? You're not saying something which is not there. That means you can't be shaken. You don't have to think about what you said and why you said. You just say, and it is the truth. That's all. Nothing more needs to be done. And that is the route to true happiness. In fact, there was a very funny thing which happened. I was doing a biofield tuning for one person, and I was telling her that, I in my counting method, that you are 17% in the right side of the grid and 83% on the left side of the grid. And I want you to get to 25% on the right side of the grid and 75% on the left side of the grid. And in that process, she suddenly asked me, where are you? So then I got shocked. And then I said, okay, let me count. And I think I have a lot of work to do on myself also, to be frank. It turned out that I'm 61% on the right and 39% on the left. So I still have a lot to go. But the point here is that when we start becoming aware of where we are operating from, because we are creating our own life story, right? The more aware we can become, the better our lives are going to be, right? So it's all a matter of awareness at the end of the day.
As you can see, impeccability of the word goes much deeper than it seems. The word is pure magic, and when you adopt the first agreement, magic just happens in your life. Your intentions and desires come easily because there is no resistance. There is no fear, there is only love. You are at peace and you create a life of freedom and fulfillment in every way. Just this one agreement is enough to completely transform your life into your personal heaven. Always be aware of how you are using the word and be impeccable with your word.
So again, it boils down to awareness. We are creating our reality through our words, through our thoughts, right? Our thoughts result in the action, and our actions create our reality. So the more impeccable we can be with our word, the more happy we can actually become, simply because you drop resistance. When you're living in the truth, there is no resistance left. Yes, Mukul Bhavi? You're
I was
muted.
thinking it
Yeah.
will be great to actually check all our position on the grid, whether we are on the right side or not. Because a lot of us may be actually thinking of ourselves in a different manner. Maybe I think, okay, I am on the right side 80%, but I may turn out to be 50%. Then
It was a
I
shock to
would know
me.
how much I would work, I need to work. So I think it's a great thing to do if you can, whenever.
No, we can. Of course, we can. See, it was a big shock to me, let me tell you.
Yeah.
When I started counting,
Yeah.
and I thought, I'm at least 80-90% on the right side. And it turned out to be 61. It was a big shock to me.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
opened my eyes because I
Yes.
never looked at it from that perspective.
Yes. So that's why I'm saying it will help us also. So whenever you can do. Okay.
So
Thank you.
you all want to do it now? But again,
do.
see, you have
I
to
do.
trust in the process.
Yeah. I'm fully there.
Okay, 1 second. So let's do it. Okay. Whoever wants to get tested, please put your video on.
I want to do it.
Okay, whoever wants to test it, get your
Very
video
good
on.
idea.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Mukul Bhavi. Mukul Bhavi is, again, it's a ring test, right? You all can do, why don't you all do a ring test? Everyone, you all remember the ring test?
Oh, हम लोग के ऊपर मत छोड़िए. We want it from you.
Yeah.
Tell you, okay, you are on, how much are you on it? Above 10, 20, 30, 40. 42%. Which is
Okay.
good. Now I'm seeing that it's pretty good. Poonam is 5, 10, 20, 30. Poonam is 30%. Dolly is 5, 10, 15, 16%. Purnima Didi is 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 36%.
बहुत काम करने की जरूरत है.
Actually, हमको तो shock लग गया. I got shocked. Anyway, Archana Chachi is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50.
So shocking.
51%. Who's
me?
that?
I'm good.
Renu ji is.
Mera.
One second. Renu ji is. Where's Renu ji gone now? Yeah, over here. So 5, 10, 15. 15%.
Oh,
अभी
15%.
can't बोलना कम हुआ तब ये हाल है. Bharti ji is, 1 second, I'm going one at a time. We'll do everyone, don't worry. Bharti ji is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 45%. That's great. Gul is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. 35%. Asha auntie is 5, 10, 15. 15.
Oh.
Shimangla is 5, 10, 15. 31%. Roshni is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25. Meena ji is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 25. Who's left? Sheetal, 5, 10. 10%. Farida, 5, 10.
I'm left, bhaiya.
15. Who's left? Om is 5,
Adulika.
10, 15, 20, 20%. Sunita Banka is 5, 10, 10. Suparna is 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. Madhu Bhabi is 5, 10, 15, 15. So we have a long way to go, I must say. This is the first time I'm doing this kind of a test, but it shows where we are operating.
Long way.
1 second, Rita ji is 1, 5, 10, 11, 11. So if we are operating out of fear, if we are operating out of hatred, self-judgment, see, the simple way of doing it is figure out what side of the grid you're operating from. And that becomes important. Believe me, when I'm telling you this, I'm working very hard on myself and I'm constantly checking myself that where am I operating from all the time. And that in spite of that, it's only 60%. So we have a long way to go.
Bhaiya, can we
But
do
how do
this,
we do that, bhaiya?
1
So yeah,
second.
there are a couple of people still left, I think.
Who's left? No, I've seen everyone who switched her video.
You see Roshni, engineer.
I've checked hers. I've told her.
Bhaiya, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we check ourselves like you did it with the antenna? But can we do it with that ring thing to make?
Absolutely. That's the way. You can do it with your ring finger.
Yeah. Okay. Then how will we do it?
So
can
you
we-
will say, how much of the time am I on the right side of the grid? Am I
Okay.
above 10%, above
Okay.
20%, above 30%, above 40%, 50, 60, 61. 61, it's opening for me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You can use the ring test to do the same thing.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
We all know how much work we still have to do.
No, we all have a lot of work to do.
Bhaiya, I just have a question.
Yeah.
I have a
go ahead.
question here. This
Go
is
ahead.
Madhu here.
हाँ बोलिए ना भाभी.
In the ring thing,
आपका आपका साउंड ही नहीं आ रहा है.
I'm still confused.
क्या?
Sound नहीं आ रहा है. How do you do the ring?
You'll need to practice, right? First, start with that my name is Madhu and see if you go strong. So start testing with what makes you strong and what makes you weak. Anything that puts you on the left side of the grid will make you weak. Anything which is not the truth will make you weak. Chalo, we'll do another session with the ring test later. Shivangla, you're on.
Every mind is a world. The second agreement, don't take anything personally. When we are born, there are no symbols in our mind, but we have a brain and we have eyes, and our brain is already capturing images that come from light. We start perceiving light. We become familiar with light, and the reaction of our brain to light is an endless play of images in our imagination, in our mind. We are dreaming. From the Toltec point of view, our whole life is a dream because the brain is programmed to dream 24 hours a day.
So again, we are creating our reality, right? What we are perceiving, technically speaking, is not real. Because again, we discussed this. When we go down at the atomic state, nothing is existing. Everything is space. Nothing is existing at all, right? It's all empty, but we are still perceiving it. So we are living a dream, right? We are born with no symbols. We are born with a clean slate. But as we grow up, the symbolism, the labeling starts to grow. So we create facades around ourselves.
When the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When the brain is asleep, there is no frame, and the dream has the tendency to change constantly.
So again, when we are living in with the small guy, right, with our conscious awareness, we live in linear time. There is a present, there's a past, and there is a future. When we go into altered states of consciousness, time and space as we know it ceases to exist, right? Our perception of time starts to change. Now, if our perception of time is starting to change, like when you are going to sleep, you are going into an altered state of consciousness. So your perception of time will start to change. And also, you're not following a linear progression. You may jump from one scene to another scene and then come back to this scene, then go to another scene, then come here to another scene, because there is no linear progression when we are going into the altered state. And as again and again, I'm saying the sleep state is an altered state of consciousness. It's not your normal waking conscious state that we normally exist in.
Even with the brain awake, we have the tendency to daydream, and the dream is constantly changing. The imagination is so powerful that it takes us to many places. We see things in our imagination that other people don't see. We hear things that other people don't hear. Or maybe we don't, depending on the way we dream. Imagination gives movement to the images we see, but the images only exist in the mind, in the dream.
So again, when a person is daydreaming, the person is not present, right? Physical body here, mind is somewhere else, right? When we are imagining something, I can be sitting here and imagine myself on top of the Eiffel Tower. Now, with what is true and not true is a question mark, right? So ultimately, what is at the end of the day, we really have to understand that everything is a dream. And you look at it from Hindu philosophy, it is Maya, everything is Maya, everything is an illusion. But in our perception, it is the truth for that point in time, because we are operating from the small guy, right? And our normal day-to-day conscious reality. When we start going into altered states, like many people perceive so many different things when we are going into the upper focus levels, right? There, most of the time, when you go higher and higher in those states of consciousness, you start feeling more comfortable in those states. And 90% of the time, people don't want to come back. Why is that? Because you can start feeling that that is more real than this, right? And you want to hold that state of consciousness in your day-to-day life also. That is what we are looking at, right? Bringing down heaven on earth. Now, the more we start operating in those states, the more we will start operating from the right side of the grid. And the more we operate from the right side of the grid, the happier we'll be, the happier our imaginations are going to be, the happier our perceptions are going to be, the happier how things occur to us are going to be, right? So it becomes very important that where are we focusing our attention? Even in our imagination, we can actually see what is the intent with which we are imagining. Where are we imagining? What are we imagining, right? Is it bringing value into our lives or not? Those things start to become important.
Light, images, imagination, dreaming. You are dreaming right now, and this is something that you can easily verify. Perhaps you never noticed that your mind is always dreaming, but if you use your imagination for just a moment, you will understand what I'm trying to explain to you. Imagine that you are looking into a mirror. Inside the mirror is a whole world of objects, but you know that what you see is just a reflection of what is real. It looks like it's real, it looks like the truth, but it's not real, and it's not the truth. If you try to touch the objects inside the mirror, you only touch the surface of the mirror.
So again, everything actually is a reflection. Even when you look at it scientifically, right? When you're perceiving something or seeing something, light is getting reflected from that object. It's going into your eye, into your optical nerve. The picture is actually reversed inside. That message goes to the brain, and the brain then starts to create your virtual reality. Most of the time, we are really not perceiving everything with our eyes. The brain is actually creating a lot of what you are perceiving, right? So we think that we see with our eyes, but it's a scientific fact that we really don't see everything with our eyes. The brain is creating our reality. Okay, so again, it's only an image. It's only a reflection of what we are perceiving. Let's put it that way.
What you see inside the mirror is just an image of reality, which means it's a virtual reality, it's a dream. And it's the same kind of dream that humans dream with the brain awake. Why? Because what you see inside the mirror is a copy of reality that you create with the capacity of your eyes and your brain. It's an image of the world that you construct within your mind, which means it's how your own mind perceives reality. What a dog sees in the mirror is how the dog's brain perceives reality. What an eagle sees in that same mirror is how the eagle's brain perceives reality, and it's different from your own.
So every animal has its own way of perceiving, right? Forget that. Each and every one of us is perceiving reality in a slightly different way, right? What I am perceiving, someone else will perceive it totally differently, right? Again, it matters as to what you're interested in. What are you paying attention to? What are you focusing on? All those factors will actually matter in the creation of your reality.
Now imagine looking into your eyes instead of a mirror. Your eyes perceive light that's being reflected from millions of objects outside of your eyes. The sun sends light all around the world, and every object reflects light. Billions of rays of light come from everywhere, go inside your eyes, and project images of objects in your eyes. You think you are seeing all these objects, but the only thing you are really seeing is light that's being reflected.
So again, with your eyes, you're only seeing the light that is being reflected from these objects, and then your brain creates the image.
Everything you perceive is a reflection of what is real, just like the reflections in a mirror, except for one important difference. Behind the mirror, there is nothing, but behind your eyes is a brain that tries to make sense of everything. Your brain is interpreting everything you perceive according to the meaning you give to every symbol, according to the structure of your language, according to all of the knowledge that was programmed in your mind.
So now what is a program, right? We've been programmed that this is like this, that is this, that is this, that is this, right? Now, when your eyes are perceiving the light and an image gets created with the brain, we put meaning to the image that we are experiencing, right? Every image will have an emotion also attached with it. And that is what gives meaning to the image that you are experiencing.
Everything you perceive is being filtered through your entire belief system. And the result of interpreting everything you perceive by using everything you believe is your personal dream. This is how you create an entire virtual reality in your mind.
So again, everything that you perceive is dependent on how you relate with it is totally dependent on your belief system, right? And how was your belief system? You were programmed by people around you and society, right? So your eyes, we are always perceiving stuff with blinkers in our eyes. We are perceiving stuff with colored lenses in our spectacles. But that is what reality is all about as we really know it and experience it.
Everything you perceive is being filtered through your entire belief system, and the result of interpreting everything you perceive by using everything you believe is your personal dream. This is how you create an entire virtual reality in your mind. Perhaps you can see how easy it is for humans to distort what we perceive. Light reproduces a perfect image of what is real, but we distort the image by creating a story with all those symbols and opinions that we learned. We dream about it with our imagination, and by agreement, we think that our dream is the absolute truth. When the real truth is that our dream is a relative truth, a reflection of the truth that is always going to be distorted by all the knowledge we have stored in our memory.
So our knowledge, our experiences are constantly distorting whatever we are perceiving. It is not allowing us to perceive the pure essence of what we are perceiving. That's what all meditative practices are leading to, that stillness of the mind, where the mind is not wavering. The mind is still. And when the mind is still, the better your perception of reality will start to become, right? It will not be hindered by what was being fed to it. So we will not make any assumptions, right? Before something comes into our conscious awareness, or as soon as it comes, we are automatically labeling it, right? And ye acha hi hoga, ye bura hi hoga, right? We are automatically labeling it, not realizing that there may be other nuances to whatever we are perceiving and seeing, or perceiving, basically.
Many masters have said that every mind is a world, and it's true. The world we think we see outside of us is actually inside of us. It's just images in our imagination. It's a dream. We are dreaming constantly, and this has been known for centuries, not only in Mexico by the Toltec, but in Greece, in Rome, in India, in Egypt. People all over the world have said, life is a dream. The question is, are we aware of it?
So again, we think that we are experiencing reality outside of us. But where is the perceiving taking place? It is taking place inside us. So all our perception, all that we are experiencing is what we are experiencing inside of us. When Robert Monroe started having his out-of-body experiences, in his first book, it was about going out of body, right? Then he came to the conclusion that it's actually happening in the body. And then he came to the conclusion it's all about a phasing as to where we are paying attention. And wherever we are paying attention, that becomes our reality, right? So ultimately, what is happening? It is all imagination. It is all a dream that we are actually living in. And this is the last thing, right? The question is, are we aware of it? Right. So again, it boils down to awareness. What are we aware of? How aware we are as to what is happening within us or without us.
When we aren't aware that our mind is always dreaming, it's easy to blame everyone and everything outside of us for all the distortions in our personal dream, for anything that makes us suffer in life.
Okay, so now this is a thing that all of us do. We blame game, right? Even I blame people many times, and I'm attempting to start becoming aware of it. But we must realize that what are we perceiving is a reality that we are creating. So we really have no one to blame for whatever is happening with us, right? Whether we are happy or we are sad, it is all our own creation. So we literally cannot blame anyone. This is something that we learned in Zero Limits also, where we said that anything that you become aware of, anything that comes into your perception, you are responsible for. So anything that is happening to you, only you are responsible for, no one else, right? If you become aware of something, you are responsible for it. Very clear and very simple.
Who is dreaming the story of your life? You are.
Shimangla, you missed a paragraph.
When we aren't aware that our mind is always dreaming, it's easy to blame everyone and everything outside of us for all the distortions in our personal dream, for anything that makes us suffer in life. When we become aware that we are living in a dream that we artists are creating, we take a big step in our own evolution, because now we can take responsibility for our creation. To realize that our mind is always dreaming gives us the key to changing our dream if we are not enjoying it.
Now, this is beautiful, right? Only can we affect our reality if we start taking responsibility for whatever is happening with us, right? If we are blaming someone else, then we lose control of our reality because it is dependent on what the other person is doing. But when we take responsibility for whatever is happening to us, it is in our power to change the narrative. It's in our power to change. I always use this example. When two magnets are coming towards each other, north and north, they will repel, right? It will use energy to make them come together. But if I change the narrative, right, I shift the magnet, I turn the magnet around, then they will come together with ease. There will be no resistance whatsoever. So if we want to bring ease into our life, the first thing that we need to start doing is to start taking responsibility for whatever is happening with us or to us, so-called to us, right? Because we are creating our own reality. So what are we creating? We need to take responsibility for that.
Who is dreaming the story of your life? You are. If you don't like your life, if you don't like what you believe about yourself, you are the only one who can change it.
Now, this is again very important, right? Many people say, I want help. I want you to help me to change this. I want this. I want that, right? Asking for help is not a bad thing. In my view, it's a great thing. But ultimately, right, you can take advice from a person, but you have to do the work. You have to create the change in your system. No one else can do it. I keep telling you, it's not a Janam Guti that you got it and pilau the baby and everything will work for the baby, right? You have to do the work to change your reality. No one else can do it for you.
It's your world, it's your dream. If you're enjoying your dream, that's wonderful. Then continue to enjoy each and every moment. If your dream is a nightmare, if there's drama and suffering, and you're not enjoying your creation, then you can change it. As I'm sure you are aware, there are millions of books in the world written by millions of dreamers with different points of view. The story of you is as interesting as any of those books, and it's even more interesting because your story continues to change. The way you dream when you are 10 years old is completely different from the way you dream when you are 15, or when you are 20 or 30 or 40, or the way you dream now.
So again, it's your dream, right? You can either enjoy your dream or suffer in your dream. But it's in your hands to change the dream so that you live a beautiful experience.
The story you're dreaming today is not the same story you were dreaming yesterday or even half an hour ago. Every time you talk about your story, it changes depending on who you are telling the story to, depending on your physical and emotional state at the time, depending on your beliefs at the time. Even if you try to tell the same story, your story is always changing. At a certain point, you find out that it's nothing but a story. It isn't reality, it's a virtual reality. It's nothing but a dream. And it's a shared dream because all humans are dreaming at the same time. The shared dream of humanity, the dream of the planet, was there before you were born. And this is how you learn to create your own art, the story of you.
So again, everything, all the time, things are constantly changing in your awareness. What are you perceiving? How are things occurring to you, right? That is the game that we need to play with ourselves. We live in a consensual reality. It is said that we have all consented to live in this reality, this earth life system that we are talking about. Naturally, it existed before you were born. It will exist after we die, right? But again, it is still a consensual reality created by the millions of souls that are existing on this earth. We've all decided to experience this experience together, right? And that is why we have created this world that we exist. I think we can stop here today.